This feels so weird. Okay. Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back. I don't know if I can say that because it's been like 5 years, but hi. Yeah, hi. This feels so weird, but so good, so right, if that makes sense. Oh my god, I'm missing my jewelry. So if you're new here, as I put on my jewelry, I used to do YouTube like 5 years ago, maybe even longer, and my channel was all beauty related. And while I still love that stuff, I still love makeup, I still love trying new products, I've kind of evolved, and I would say my biggest passion at the moment, I'm an Aries, so subject to change anytime, but right now it is reading, as you can see back here. I feel like that's pretty evident. This is just my TBR cart, and then I also have a bookshelf and books just like everywhere. I have a Kindle. So today's video is going to be my reading wrap up for January and February of this year, and so far I've read 20 books. I'm working on 21, we'll get there, but I have 3 physical books for the last 2 months, and then the rest were all on my Kindle. I don't know like what other intro information I should include here, like I'm engaged now, which is crazy. I feel like I'm talking to people I haven't talked to in forever, and the reason I guess I wanted to jump back on YouTube is because I always felt the most creative and the most in tune with myself and that side of me, which gave me so much confidence because I was just like doing things that I loved. I was good at what I was doing, and I don't know, like my creative mind was just constantly spinning, and I feel like in the past 4 years or so, that is like extinct. Now I'm just kind of, you know, trying to get back into that feel because I miss that, and I really was starting to build a community here, and part of me like kicks myself for not continuing that, but I really enjoyed what I was building here at the time. So now we're just doing it in an evolved, different way. I don't know what all this is gonna be, but for now we're focusing on books. The rest is TBD. So we're just gonna jump into the books that I read. I will give you kind of like a synopsis. Is that the right word? Like a overall what I like to read. So I typically do romance. Fiction is like mostly what I dabble in. I do like some memoirs, autobiographies, some self-helpy kind of things, but I have to really be in the mood to read those, and I have to be very disciplined about reading them because I will pick one up and read like 2 chapters and then won't pick it up again for like 2 years. So I like can't stop fucking with my hair. So like I said, fiction is mostly where I dabble. Romance, romantasy, fantasy, yes. I do some young adult, historical fiction I really, really love and have fallen in love with, I would say mostly this year so far. And I'm trying to think if there's anything off the top of my head that I'm forgetting. Mystery thriller, I'm like okay with. So that being said, I'm not going to go in any order of like reading, like when I read these, if that makes sense. I'm just going to go through my 3 physical books, and then we'll go through what I read on my Kindle. So let's just jump into it. So first book, and coincidentally the first book that I did finish, so this one is in order. First one I finished this year was The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. Now this book, 5 stars first of all. I'm going to try to remember to say my rating right off the bat, but this book, so good. This follows 2 sisters in France during World War II, and they're estranged. They have kind of a difficult relationship. They're very different people, and it just kind of follows their path through the war, and also after. There's kind of like some flashbacky moments in it, and it's just, oh my gosh, it's so good. Kristin Hannah, and I'm going to mention 2 more of her books in this video, but her writing style is so beautiful, and she does historical fiction so well. 2 words to describe her writing, her books, are heartbreaking and heartwarming all in one. I would say it's a sister love story. There is romance in other ways as well, but it's very much family oriented, and it's just, this is one of my favorite books of all time. So if you like historical fiction, a little bit of romance, suspense for sure, and you want to feel like there's just been like a knife stabbed in your heart when you're reading this. I love feeling pain through books. I don't know why, but this is that. Moving on, this one I actually finished more recently. This is Never by Jessa Hastings. This is my first Jessa Hastings book. Now, I don't even know how to feel about this book. Like, it's just odd. I was hooked immediately. No pun intended. This is a Peter Pan retelling. I think I gave this 3 stars, by the way. See, I'm not gonna remember. This is a Peter Pan retelling, and first of all, the cover is stunning. I was really hooked from the beginning because Jessa Hastings' writing style is very beautiful. It's very fantastical. It just got me like reeled in really quickly. Started reading this on my Kindle, and then I bought the physical copy because I was like, oh my god, I love this. And then it started getting weird. And I think for me, it's because in my brain, Peter Pan is a children's book, children's story. This is not that. And I understand that she's not trying to make it that. She's trying to make it more adult. But those wires are like fused together, and I can't disconnect it. So there's some adult only content in here that I'm like, Peter Pan though? Like, I don't know. I'm like speechless. I liked it, but it was just uncomfortable at times. I love her writing style. I do want to read more from her. So this ends on a cliffhanger. I will be reading the second one because this has to be a series. If it's not, I will be shocked. So I would recommend it, but just know that it's weird. Oh my god, this book, you guys, like, this has been on my shelf for 2+ years and I hadn't read it. I picked this up after I finished ACOTAR like 2 years ago, and I tried to read the first page, and it was like so complex after reading that whole story back to back to back. And I tried to pick this up because I was like, I need more Sarah J Maas, and that was a mistake. So then I didn't pick it up ever again because I was like, first of all, this book's massive. I'm not in the, like, it was just too complex. It was too much. No, this, oh my gosh. So about like a quarter of the way through, I would say maybe a third, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this as much as ACOTAR or Throne of Glass. I was kind of just meh about it. By the end, like, Sarah J Maas just doesn't miss. You're following Bryce, and she is half human, half fae, and there's all these different kinds of creatures. There's angels, there's werewolves, there's like all over the place. There's fae, obviously, and it's interesting because unlike Sarah J Maas's other books, you have elements of modern life. So like, they have cell phones, so they have computers, they live in cities, and like they go clubbing, they do drugs. Like, it's very interesting to kind of mix those. I hadn't read a fantasy like that before. They're, I would say, a very overarching genre that you could include this in other than fantasy would be murder mystery. Bryce, I connect with her so much. I love her to my core. She's probably one of, if not my favorite, Sarah J Maas characters. There's a slow burn romance element to this that, like, the tension, it's not as much as Fourth Wing, but it's there. I am all in, like, I'm just all in on this. I wish I would have gotten in on it sooner because I could have read the third one that just came out in January, like, as it came out, but I digress. Forgot the rating. I gave this 5 stars. Most of my Sarah J Maas ratings are, like, I don't think I've given anything less than 4 stars. Crescent City, if you have been looking at this and feel like it's just so daunting because it's so big, okay. If you've been wanting to give this book a chance, I would do it because it is chef's kiss. So a series that I actually finished in January and February is the Winter in Paradise series from Ellen Hildebrand. Alani break. I'm gonna be burping. like crazy. Ellen Hildebrand, what did I just say? Ellen Hildebrand is one of my favorite authors ever. Like her books just feel so nostalgic to me. And I don't even know if that makes sense because she started writing books when I was like a child. So I don't know. It doesn't feel like I would relate to it in that way because these are all adult stories, but they're so good. They're so amazing. I have raved about them on TikTok. I rave about them to anyone who asks me for recommendations, especially for like vacation or beach reads. She is the absolute queen. I love her so much. Winter in Paradise, it's a trilogy. So 3 books. The first one I gave 4 stars, and it hooked me immediately. And I didn't realize before reading this first one that it was part of a series, part of a trilogy. So I got to the end and I literally screamed because I was like, no, it's not gonna end on a cliffhanger like this. And then of course it didn't. It is romance, it's mystery, murder mystery-esque. It's got like family dynamics, and I don't want to give anything away because it's so complex. And the thing I love the most about Ellen Hildebrand's writing is that she follows like at least 6 point of views in her books, it feels like, but it never feels overwhelming. Like you're getting all of the point of views told in third person, but it doesn't feel like your brain's exploding because you're getting too much information. The way she writes about food, if I have just eaten and I'm like busting at the seams, if I read something of hers that's food related, I'm like hungry again because she just does it so well. And if you like romance but you don't want something that's super smutty, Ellen Hildebrand is perfect. And her romances are so much more complex than anything. Welcome to my life. Are we done? Okay. As I was saying, her romances are so much more complex than just the surface level physical attraction, and her books are so much more complex. There's not just romance. There are 7 million other strings that are attached to this story as a whole. I finished this series, like I said, and I gave the other books, let me look. I gave What Happens in Paradise, which is the second book of the series, a 4-star. And then I gave Trouble in Paradise, which is the last book, a 5-star. So overall, this is a 5-star series. You go through so many emotions, as with all of her books, where you're really rooting for the characters, you really hate some of them, you understand them, but you don't like them, and then by the end, you're like, wow, these are really, I love all these people, and I feel in my bones that they're real. I also read Wildfire by Hannah Grace, and this is a sequel to Icebreaker? No. What is this a sequel to? No, it is Icebreaker. Okay, I was right. So, this is a sequel. There's 2, running hockey romances that I'm reading. Hockey romance series that I'm reading. So that's why I was getting confused. But anywho, this one is in a camp setting, and I loved this one so much more than the first one. It is just, I don't know, I felt like I connected more to the characters. Rory, who is the main girl, I felt her in my bones. There's so many elements of her story, of her character that I connected to. Russ, who's the love interest, is just like, he's golden retriever. He's just like, I love him. And there's so many good quotes in this book. So many good quotes. I'm not someone who likes to have, usually, the physical copy with the digital, but with this one, I want it just so I can go and highlight those quotes because there's so many good ones. I don't want to spoil it, but there wasn't, any conflict that was annoying for me. There are so many different family dynamics at play as well. It's not just Rory and Russ's story. There are several other elements, and I think that's what makes their characters feel so well-rounded. And the only thing I will say is that it did feel a little drawn out or a little long-winded at certain parts, but I felt like that with the first one too, so I think that's just par for the course. I gave this one 4 stars. I don't remember what I gave Icebreaker. I read that so long ago, but I really, really liked this book. I think that if you are not into hockey romances, but you've seen all the hype, I would read this one because it's a camp setting. Yes, Russ is a hockey player, but you don't have like that hockey element as much. Next book, and I'm going to go through this one pretty quickly, it is the Andy Cohen Diaries by Andy Cohen. I gave this one 3 stars. I did read the Daddy Diaries last year and I loved it. Like, that book was so good. I love the way it was written because it's like a diary, so it's each day you have kind of like a little blurb about what he did that day and that type of thing. And I really love Daddy Diaries, so that's why I picked this one up. But this one just didn't have the same feel to it, or like, I don't know, I just didn't enjoy it as much. I think if I would have read this one first, then Daddy Diaries, I would have liked it, but just like going back felt a little weird. I did listen to it on audiobook though, and I really enjoyed that because Andy is the one who's narrating it, so I would recommend listening to it on audiobook. My favorite part of this one is that he is really close friends with like a lot of celebrities, Bravo celebrities, and Sarah Jessica Parker is one of them, and I absolutely love and adore her. Sex and the City is my top favorite show. I've been to Carrie Bradshaw's apartment. Sarah Jessica Parker and I have the same birthday. Like, I can go on and on about how much I love Sarah Jessica Parker, and yeah, he's close friends with her, and he has a lot of stories in this book of them like gallivanting around New York City, which I just, I love. Like, I eat that up. So I did enjoy it, but like I said, 3 stars. I like Daddy Diaries more. Next book is Hotel Magnifique by Emily J. Taylor. I gave this one 4.5 stars, and right off the bat, I will say that this is very similar in writing style and in the story, kind of, as Caraval by Stephanie Garber. So if you like that a lot, I would recommend this. This is young adult. There's not any smut, so if you don't like smut, perfect for you. This is about a hotel that is magical and it moves spots. So you get like a ticket and you can go stay at the hotel, but this is following 2 sisters and they are wanting to work at the hotel to escape their life, where they're kind of working paycheck to paycheck. It's not really the verbiage that I would use in this world, but they're trying to escape that and be in this like fantastical world that they've seen so much about and heard so much about from their grandma. It just kind of goes awry once they get there. So you get to go through all the ups and downs. Like I said, there is a romance element, but there's no smut. Very fairy tale, very storybook, which is why I mentioned Stephanie Garber. I think if you like her writing style, this is just an extension of that, or like I said, very similar. And again, I would say this is a sister love story. They are, you know, going to bat for each other, and that's how it's similar to Caraval, which I would also classify as a sister love story. And they're both just kind of trying to save each other from themselves. Another Kristen Hanna book, The Great Alone. This one is about a family who moves to Alaska. The main character, her name is Lenny. She is a young girl when they move to Alaska, and then her 2 parents, Ernst and... what's the mom's name? Cora. How did I forget that? I have like 7 million Coras in my life. I'm sorry to all of you. Cora is the mom. Ernst is the dad. He was a soldier in Vietnam, so he has a lot of PTSD from that, and you kind of see the after effects of what that does to his family and to his life. And this book, just like I said with the others, if those are sister love stories, this is a mother-daughter love story. Camera died. Okay, so by the end of this book, I was sobbing. I finished it in bed, and I was like shaking the whole bed from just crying, and like I said, heartbreaking, heartwarming, all in one mother-daughter love story. And you have all the dynamics of they're moving to Alaska and what that means, all the challenges that they face from like the wilderness, the weather, just the lifestyle there that they're not used to and they have to get used to very quickly. And there's just so many parts of this book that are high stakes. You're on the edge of your seat, and it's amazing. 5 stars. I don't know if I already said that, but it's just amazing. I did DNF one book this month, or over the last 2 months, and it was Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. This was way too in detail about how... this is essentially about... it's a romance, and the woman who is the main character, works at like a Saturday Night Live type of place. It's called The Night Owl or something like that. And it was so in-depth about how the Night Owl, I think that's what it's called, how it operates, how they're writing sketches, why they're writing sketches, why the sketches are written this way, and why they're not written this way. And it was just like, just felt annoying. Like, it was just like, okay, I don't care. Give me something. And I just, yeah. So I don't even remember how much I got through that book, but I've seen it everywhere and a lot of people liked it, and it just wasn't for me. My first Abby Jimenez book, also read this year. I don't know how to phrase this. The past 2 months. It was Part of Your World, and after reading this, I was like all in. I was like, okay, Abby Jimenez, love, can't wait to read more. I connected so hard to Alexis, who's the main character in this book, and with her like relationships and her experiences with several different people in this book. So she's an ER doctor, and she's with this guy who's essentially like a narcissist and is manipulating her and is kind of like emotionally and mentally abusive. And then she meets this guy who's much younger than her and lives in a small town. It's kind of like a meet cute situation, and that kind of plays out. I hope I didn't just spoil that. I don't know, I feel like all that information is probably written on the back of the book. But anyway, I connect with her in like several ways in this book. You have like her parents and her friends and her brother, and kind of like how it all intertwines. And there are some characters in this book that I absolutely despise. Like, by the end, I still don't like them. I am 100% out, don't love. But like, I feel that hatred in my gut, which is just like so cool that a book can make you feel that way. Excuse me while I nerd out. But yeah, I just really enjoyed how layered this story was, and it was perfect if you want romance that has a teeny bit of smut, but you're not getting the like intricate down and dirty details that you feel bad reading in public, or if like someone's looking over your shoulder, you're not like, stop, don't read it. I could have done a little bit more spice. That's just me. Like, some of it kind of felt a little rushed, like where I was like, okay, excuse me, you're leaving me hanging. But if you're not ready to dive Lucy score level deep with the smut, this is great. I did read 2 of the short story Amazon exclusives from Ashley Poston and Abby Jimenez. The Ashley Poston one is called With Any Luck, and it's about this girl whose best guy friend is getting married and this guy whose best girlfriend are getting married to each other, and they're doing like their bachelorette parties, and they get drunk and end up losing the groom. They gotta find him, and it's just like kind of all over the place. This was so short, I didn't feel any connection to the characters. I gave it 2 stars, and honestly, I feel weird rating a story that's this short, but I just didn't feel the chemistry, and it felt way too like go, go, go. I think if she would have removed the smut, which that's saying something if I'm the one saying it, give me all the smut. But with this, I think if she would have removed some of the spice and then put in more backstory or more like emotional connection, I would have felt the chemistry a little bit more with the characters. The Abby Jimenez one that I read is called Worst Wingman Ever, and I gave this one 4 stars. I really liked this one. It felt, by the end, I wanted to learn more about the characters and their story. It was very sweet. It didn't feel rushed at all. Tension was really built up, and it was just simple, sweet, but it had a lot of substance. Another Ellen Hildebrand book I read was 5 Star Weekend, and I gave this one 4 stars. This is about a woman who is a food blogger, and her husband dies suddenly, and so she decides to host a weekend with 4 of her friends from different times in her life. It's a friend from like childhood, a friend from college, a friend from like recently, like raising their kids together, that type of thing, and then someone that she met later in life, because I think she's in like her 50s or 60s, and then her daughter is also there, who is in her young 20s. So you have all these women from all these walks of life, all of these different circumstances and different ages, different lifestyles, and they all come together, and there's one major twist in this story that I'm not going to reveal, but it is insane. Didn't see it coming at all. And just seeing all the dynamics of these women coming together, and they're all there because they're friends with the same person, but they're all so different, and they know the main character so differently because they were closer to her in different points of her life, and you're a different person throughout those different areas. Like I said, I could say it till I'm blue in the face. Elin Hilderbrand's writing style is one of my favorites. I just love it. If you need a good beach read, but you want something that's not like fleeting, something that has substance, this is it. I will say, at the end, there were like a few strings in this story that weren't tied up for me all the way. And I feel like Elin Hilderbrand always leaves her books a little open-ended for interpretation, which I like, but this one felt like there was a little too much left to the imagination, where it was like, come on, I needed a little bit more. Also, I'm so sorry, I live by an airport, so you can hear the planes and the burps, but yeah, okay. But by the end, I feel like all the characters I loved, I understood, they were so like flawed and multidimensional, and yeah, so 4 stars for this one. I did also read The Bromance Book Club by Lyssa Kay Adams. I gave this one, I think, a 4-star on Goodreads. It's like floating between a 3.5 and a 4 for me. It's very cute, it's smutty, it's a different, like, trope, I guess, or like a different plot than I've seen anywhere else. It's not, you know, a typical friends to lovers or anything like that. It's about a couple who are married and they're on the brink of divorce, and the man essentially is recruited by his friends to be part of their book club that they use to read romance books to get better with women, or like be better in their relationships. I'm excited to read the rest of the series. The sister in this, she's a secondary character, but I believe she is the main character in the second one. I can't wait to read that one because I dislike the sister by the end of this book. Like, she's so negative, she's so like just anti-happiness, like to the point where it makes you wonder, are you even enjoying yourself at all? Like, anything about this life do you enjoy? But the 2 main characters are super sweet. I like them a lot. The husband is a professional baseball player, and they have twin girls. The girls are cute, but they're not a pivotal part of the story. Another Kristen Hanna book, this one's probably my favorite of hers so far, and it's called The Women. This is about a woman who she signs up to be part of the Army nurse. She's an Army nurse in the Vietnam War. And when she comes home, she does a couple of tours when she comes home. She has a lot of PTSD, a lot of issues, and you kind of like go through the roller coaster, and it's just, there's so many elements. I will say that there's a lot of trigger warnings in this where, you know, like PTSD or like very gruesome and gory war stories and affairs and things like that, but she's, at no point in this book am I ever not rooting for her. Am I ever annoyed or mad at her? Like, she's just such a lovable character and someone that you are just rooting for from the beginning, because you're like, God, just I want her to be happy is essentially the end of it. And Kristen Hanna is the queen of like throwing in a twist that you never guess. At least for me, I have never guessed any of her like little twists at the end, and it just makes it so much more enjoyable for me, because you're like on the floor like, oh my God, no way that this is happening. Again, heartbreaking, heartwarming, so beautiful. The writing style, it's just like, it gets you right in your feels. 28 Summers by Elin Hilderbrand, and the kind of like epilogue short story that goes with it, which is called The Sixth Wedding. 28 Summers is about a couple who are not a couple. They just come back together every year on Labor Day and have like a weekend together, and they've been doing it for 28 summers. And this is the first Elin Hilderbrand book. I don't know if she has others that do this, but it kind of flashes back from past to present, and I really enjoyed that element. Again, multiple point of views, multiple people that you're following, which I loved. I did feel like in the beginning with this one, it wasn't her typical formula, or it didn't feel like her writing style, but by the end I really did like it. Characters are super lovable, but they're also like hateable in certain ways, because I mean, these are 2 people that are having an affair. The Sixth Wedding, like I said, is like the epilogue short story that's following it, and it just kind of picks up a few years after the end of 28 Summers. So you're still following the same people, not giving anything away, but it was kind of cool just to see how everything came together and how everyone is after the end of 28 Summers. If you know, you know. But I still felt like she kept a lot of things open-ended. Like I said, she likes to do that, but I almost could see this being more of an extended series. Like, she could add to the series. I don't think she's going to, because you can argue that it's like all wrapped up, but for me, I was like, ugh, I want more. And that's it. Those are all my books. I'm currently reading Crescent City 2, and that will be in my March wrap-up. I'm gonna do this like monthly instead of 2 months, but time just got away from me. I can't believe it's already March 1st. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe, follow me, all the things that feel weird coming out of my mouth at this point. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!